Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. Today we're having a look at the newly revealed information for Chapter 4, and this focuses on the upcoming changes to the background simulation as well as the new scenarios. Now both of these things go hand in hand, and they are, for the game as a whole, pretty massive changes, and they will definitely impact players who play around with the background simulation as well as groups that are heavily involved in that. However, many players, regardless of how you play Elite Dangerous, will also notice the changes that this brings to the game. And those changes range across a number of areas, from changing unidentified signal sources to having a pretty dramatic change on conflict zones, as well as opening up attacks and assaults on megaships as well as installations. So let's jump straight in and have a look at the megaship assault. Now, the thing to keep in mind here with all the new scenarios is that they are all voice acted. And I apologise with the audio here because it's not very good, and obviously this is from the Frontier Livestream, so we can't hear anything of what's going on. But basically, the megaship itself has sent out a vocal request asking for assistance, and right here you can choose whether or not you want to assist the megaship or assist the assault on the megaship. So these scenarios are about two things really. Firstly, about making the galaxy feel far more alive and giving you activities to get involved in. And secondly, to give you very visible activities that impact the background simulation. Now for those of you that don't know, I've mentioned the background simulation a few times, you may be wondering what that's all about. So what that is essentially is a simulation of civilization within space. Civilization, of course, is broken across many planets and it's broken across many star systems. Each star system has a different state, a different government, and many other attributes as well, and these can all be influenced and affected and changed by the player actions. The megaship scenario here then is one such example, and the impact of what you do here will be felt right across the system, even on a small level and sometimes perhaps on a greater level. So what's happening here then is there's other pirate ships around trying to take down the megaship, and the player is actively getting involved and helping with that assault. Using the scanner on the megaship, it brought up the targets for you to attack, and you can then destroy these. Once they're all destroyed, the megaship will effectively be rendered useless. It will power down and be defenseless, and your objective will be complete. Of course, the megaship will try and defend itself, and you could well lose the day and may not successfully take it down, in which case you will lose this particular event. So the bottom line then is that events can have multiple outcomes, and well, you don't really know what's going to happen until you actually get involved and try and achieve a particular goal. Now, when you complete that goal, or when you lose that goal, you'll be notified of the repercussions up the top here on the comms panel, or on the info panel rather. And that will tell you the effect that you've had on the system, as well as any additional bonuses that you may receive for getting involved within that scenario. Now, as I said earlier, conflict zones also work in a very similar manner, and these have had a very large overhaul. Conflict zones come about when a system enters a state of war. When that happens, the factions will actually go to war with each other. They will have a particular goal and objective in mind, and you can jump into that conflict zone and choose a side. Now this is very similar to how it works right now, but conflict zones will have a win and lose scenario. So as you plan through the conflict zone, as you're fighting, your side will either win or lose, and you can see little progress bars on the top right hand side of the screen that will give you an indication of the progress or the current state of the battle occurring here. Now each conflict zone will also have sub-objectives, and these may not arise every single time, but they do have a chance to appear. These include media reporters or conflict zone reporters appearing inside of these zones. Depending on the side they appear for, you'll either need to assist these or attack them. Other objectives will be Alpha Squadrons appearing. These will be an elite squad of ships that can jump into the conflict zone either on your side or on the side of the enemy. You may also find that from time to time an enemy or friendly leader may appear, and you'll have the objective to take these on. And finally, conflict zones can ramp up a little bit with capital ships appearing. Now, just as current, there will be multiple tiers of conflict zones from low to regular to high intensity, and each of these will have different opportunities or different chances of these scenarios appearing within them. In the low intensity, there will be zero chance of experiencing the new scenarios. In regular, you will have a medium chance, and you will have the highest chance of experiencing the scenarios in the high intensity, where all types of scenarios will have the ability to appear. Wars then are a very specific state for the background simulation. They're a very specific state for a faction, and they will play out over a period of 7 days. We'll focus on a few more of the scenarios in just a bit, but as we're talking about the background simulation right now, let's discuss some of this. So for those players who are experienced with the background simulation, one of the biggest changes is probably going to be the ability for systems to have multiple states. And this really is going to shake things up a whole lot. As you can see right here, there are 3 different states, and these will ultimately affect your ability, or the ability rather of your faction, to expand into other systems. This will be far more clearly represented with Chapter 4 than it is currently, as you will have status bars here on the System Factions page. This will give you a good indication of what's going on, with white being a relatively neutral state, blue moving towards positive states, and red moving down towards negative states. This panel will also detail quite a bit of information on what each of those states actually are, as well as what's going on within your system and your faction. Now, although Frontier didn't show this off within this live stream, they did discuss squadrons. Squadrons will have access to an allegiance page, and this will show all the information about their allied faction, or the faction that they have allegiance to. And it will detail everything they need to know, not just on their current system, but also all of the other systems that their faction is present in. So at this point, it should be pretty clear that squadrons are going to have a massively heavy focus on background simulation, as well as everything to do with factions. Now currently, a system state has a massive impact upon what's going on within the system, and this is going to continue, but may become a little bit more obvious. What sort of things? Well, it affects what type of missions appear on the mission board, it affects what's going on with the commodities market, and many other things, and these include the types of unidentified signal sources you can find. And with Chapter 4, the USSs will, some of them at least, have new scenarios inside of them. Locating a signal source will be done through the new exploration tools, and this actually looks pretty interesting indeed. Here you can see using the FSS, where the player is very quickly using the spectral analysis as well as the heat images on the system to find what's going on there. And I just want to show that zoom again. I'll slow it down a little bit. So one thing that's really noticeable here is the type of information that's revealed by using the new scanner system. Just look at the multiple layers of what's going on here and what's being revealed within this particular system. All of this done without having to fly around and looking for random spawns. So it should hopefully keep up the pace of the game. It's something I'm very much looking forward to trying out. So there we saw that using the exploration tools, or the discovery scanner, the player had located a distress signal. Moving over to that, they jumped in, and here they find a ship that is indeed within distress. But it's a little bit different here. There's actually something to get involved with and something to actually interact with. In this case, the other ship is an NPC. It is voice acted here. Unfortunately, I can't show you that because the audio wasn't particularly good coming through from the Frontier live stream. But in this case, they're asking to be refueled. But these types of distress calls will vary from system state to system state. In one example, the system was in famine and the ship was actually asking for food, and you can choose to either assist them or leave them be. Now, if you do want to help them but you don't have the resource to hand, you can actually leave the USS, go to another system and purchase what it is they may be requiring, head back and jump straight back into the same unidentified signal source as these are persistent, and then help the NPC out. So the game will remember where the USS is and it will keep it active. However, it's worth keeping in mind they are set to a timer, and after a while the ship will leave, or the USS will effectively expire, at which point that signal source will then be completely gone. And again, in the top right hand corner of the screen on the info panel, you can see the effect that this has had on the background simulation. Your help or hindrance will always have an impact. The new scenarios and background simulation changes then are a massive change for Elite. Of course, it's still fundamentally the same game, however it is now going to be far more directed. The player will have a bit more agency and will also have a better understanding of the impact of their actions having upon the game. Further, changes within the background simulation will have a clearly defined effect upon your experiences within any given star system. So, these changes combined with the codex and the new exploration tools, seem to be taking Elite in a very interesting direction. I'm very much looking forward to trying all this out when beta arrives on PC on the 30th of October. That then brings us to an end of this video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.